Weeks of pigeon drought in Essex have finally come to an end. Geoff Garrod is in a hide and inundated.
They're looking, they look like they're keen, they're going out, swinging out, and then on the way back we're getting the odd one that's coming in.
Bird flu, the world of shooting faces a new kind of epidemic. Deborah Hadfield finds out how we're all coping.
And then each game farmer is going to have to look at his own situation and decide which is the least risky option.
And it's long distance target shooting with rifle scopes, the closest thing to a deer stalking competition. We find out about F-Class.
The GB F-Class crowd. Unbelievable.
Shoot Straighter, we're giving away a SharpShootingUK course priced at £379. Meredyth takes over the news stump to deliver our news bulletin. James Marchington has hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Essex gamekeeper Geoff Garrod has waited a long time for this moment. The first wheat is drilled and the pigeons are back.
I love shooting on drilling. There's all sorts of other shooting, but I think it just goes back to them old days when I went out with my dad. It was always on drilling, so it just brings a little bit of memories back. But I just love it. There's a few pigeons turned up, a lot more than we've had in the past, and from a pigeon shooting person's point of view, that's great. From a farmer's point of view, it's not great. So we're here for crop protection and trying to help the farmers out. We're on a bit of drilled butter wheat behind where we had that monstrous fire through the summer months. We were right in the middle of the fire here, and it's obviously burnt the ivy off this bush, probably killed, that's a little elm stub, that's probably killed, oh no, there's a bit of green life in the elm stub. So I've came up here, got a big bit of burnt ivy behind me, a bit to the right, put a net in front here, so hopefully we're concealed in this sort of like burnt bit of ivy. We've got drilled wheat and then obviously a bit of wheat that they're raking up from the fire. So it's the first bit of ground that's been drilled around here now, so we're really on autumn drilling. I had some birds from a previous day. I've been in the chiller now, so I just went down, grabbed a dozen, fairly rough and ready, but you know, a dead bird's always worth putting out. The wind, as we sit here now looking at the front of the hide, the wind is coming slightly over my left shoulder, diagonally across the field. So as we're looking at the hide, I expect most of the birds to sort of swing around and come in diagonally to us, head on if you like. We've had 5 now come in and sort of played the game. So I just hope that the rest of their mates continue to play it that way. Max's 2, 30-inch barrel, which is, my old Max's was a 28-inch barrel. I have to say I already favour the 30-inch barrel, just a bit more swingable for me. I'm not the best ones to do reviews on guns, but it suits me. 30-inch barrel on an auto, it suits me, and I seem to be getting on fairly well with it. Powered up by Ely Pigeon Select, 30 gram, 6-shot, fibre wad. All my cartridges that I shoot are fibre. I think it's the way to go, and if you're on them, they'll do the job. At the moment, it's a little bit sort of frustrating. We're right in a flight line. They're coming over us just, you know, even way too high. They're looking, they look like they're keen, they're going out, swinging out, and then on the way back, we're getting the odd one that's coming in. But I think, I'm hoping that there's another one there. So like, that's up there, like way out of shot. But it's looking, it's keen, it looks like it's going to fold in. But they just keep drifting on a little bit. So I'm hoping as the day goes on, they're going to get a little bit more hungrier and they're going to get a lot more keener to go in. But all the time we're just getting the odd one or two. I'm just building up the pattern, making it nice and inviting for them. Hopefully they'll switch on to decoying mode fairly shortly. Good boy. Good boy. I've took the flapper in because they were coming in like they're going to decoy and just getting like 20 yards outside the pattern and then just drifting off. So I've just took the flapper in. So I've got no flapper. I've just flat decoys on the ground. I mean, there's pigeons everywhere here. I just need to get them coming in. Fingers crossed. Like I say, they'll switch on a bit better in the afternoon. And we'll get a couple of hours. There's one here, see, it's just decoying. Look like they're coming in just at the last minute. Something's not quite right, and I haven't put my finger on it yet. A lot of pigeons going over, a lot of activity. Just need them to decoy. All right, yeah, it's nice suitable suit. Not too cold, not too warm, you're not over warm, but it's for the day like today, it's really good. Well, they are beginning to sort of come to decoys a bit now, so we are getting a bag. There's one low one here, look, coming across the field there. Good boy. Leave it. Here. There's 4 more to pick up that I can see from here. So with those 4 and what I've here, that's 120, which is for here over the last few years, that's a big bag. I mean, I always think it's great when we go over the 100 mark anyway, but this year pigeons have just turned up in the last fortnight, and it's great. It's from a pigeon shooting point of view, which I do take that angle from. It's great. From the farmer's point of view, then obviously they're not so happy about it. But today they were hard. We was right in the flight line, as you can see here. They were coming from the trees over in the distance. We were right in the flight line, but they were hell bent on going out that way somewhere. But we kept getting the odd one or two that kept sort of coming in right off the tail end Charlies, if you like. And as the day wore on, the pattern got bigger. They started to decoy quite a bit better. Then obviously at the end of the day, we had some really come in there really nice. There's a lot of pigeons about. Very happy to shoot what I have done. So what'll happen now is I'll go back, I'll drop the dog off, go down the chiller, put all the birds into trays, and give the game dealer a shout, and he'll pick them up when he picks the rest of the game up. Everything will get processed and put back into the food chain, so which is good. There's been days through the summertime where wouldn't have got as many, but I'm just not one of these people to shoot stuff not to be used. As long as it's being used somewhere along the line, then I'm happy.
To find out more about Browning guns, Ely Hawk cartridges and Jack Pike clothing, follow the links in the description below. And for the best deals on all your pigeon shooting kit, go to kitfinder.co.uk. Thank you, Geoff. And we have put up a special page on Kitfinder with some instant deals on the Browning Maxus 2 semi-auto that Geoff is using. We've actually rung up the gun shops listed, and as Fieldsports Britain comes out, they all have the Maxus 2 in stock. There's a link to that page below. Now, the Fieldsports Nation, our membership scheme, which supports our news service, and news is coming up next. It has its own TV show, Fieldsports Extra, out on Tuesdays, and each week there's a prize draw giveaway. This week, it's a place on a SharpShootingUK course where you will learn extraordinary rifle accuracy as showcased in last week's Fieldsports Britain. You can enter the prize to win this if you are a member or if you become a member, and there's a link in the description below. Now, David is currently swanning around Mozambique in a solar topee looking for dangerous wildlife, leaving us with Meredyth on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. BASC, the Countryside Alliance and the Kennel Club say the hunting with dogs bill in Scotland will threaten gun dogs and their use. The proposed legislation is due to be debated in the Scottish Parliament. The field sports groups claim the new law aimed at tightening restrictions around fox hunting hound packs and hare coursing also affects how dogs can be used to flush game.
One of two things will happen if the amendments aren't made. Either people will get caught up in it, that's what unintended consequence is, and people will be treading such a fine line that it would be very easy to cross that boundary and to break the law. Or these practices are just simply going to stop.
Devon and Cornwall police are trying to set a legal precedent where they can take away your guns without telling you why. The police seized the guns of Devon deerstalker Andrew Alger and have now received permission from a judge at Exeter Crown Court to use PII, a public interest immunity application. So far, the police have not revealed to Andrew why they have taken his guns. The PII application means they will never have to tell Andrew, which makes it impossible for him to defend his appeal. If Devon and Cornwall Constabulary succeeds in this case, police across the country will be able to take anyone's guns without saying why.
They seem to put me in like I'm some sort of terrorist or I'm a national security risk to the country. And I just can't believe how they can sort of think that. You know, I'm a guy that lives in the middle of Devon, had a certificate for 41 years, never done anything wrong, and then they put me in that class. I just can't believe it.
The police have stalled and delayed this case for over a year now. If you can help Andrew with his legal bills, there's a link below. Aunties daubed paint on the outside of William Evans' shooting shop on St James Street and on the inside of Farlow's fishing shop in Pall Mall. Animal Rebellion supporters admitted carrying out the vandalism. Protesters from the Animal Rebellion Group and Stop Oil Group carried out a series of protests in the capital over the weekend. Police arrested more than 100 people after they attacked businesses in London. They have been charged with a series of offences in connection with the attacks. Welsh farmer and TV presenter Gareth Wyn-Jones says urban Britain has lost touch with the countryside. In a powerful new interview with Fieldsports News, Gareth explains how the Welsh Government is failing farming and conservation, and how even people who live locally to his farm are unconnected to wildlife and food production. In a 20-minute conversation released as a video and podcast, he blames the lack of hedgehogs and ground-nesting birds on his farm not on the large numbers of badgers, but on the spineless politicians in Cardiff who are not brave enough to allow a badger cull because of pressure from the conservation industry. Link below.
We need to take these numbers out, and the scientific information is there, evidence to say that if we do take their numbers out, and look, I don't want to see the end of the badger, I don't want to see the end of the fox, but you put any wild animal in a situation where there's overpopulation and you get problems. You get problems for other creatures.
Scottish farmers are angry at government plans to scale up the introduction of beavers. Nature Scot, formerly Scottish Natural Heritage, has identified more than 100,000 hectares as potential new release sites across Scotland. It says beavers benefit ecosystems by creating wetland habitats and alleviating downstream flooding. However, it acknowledges concerns that upstream farmland could suffer from flooding and has suggested culling licences may be needed to control populations. One farmer lost £25,000 worth of a vegetable crop after beaver dams flooded his land. Another grower had spent up to £4,000 a year removing dams legally after losing wheat crops to flooding that beavers caused. NFU Scotland says farmers see beaver damage as more of a threat to their livelihoods than Brexit. Great news for shooting as the sport is confirmed for the Commonwealth Games programme in Victoria in 2026. British Shooting welcomes the news and says it is a victory for shooters after a campaign to get the sport included. The International Shooting Sports Federation submitted an expression of interest after extensive consultation between Shooting Australia, the Victorian Government and the Commonwealth Games Australia. The Princess Royal is Basque's new patron. Princess Anne visited Basque's stand at the Game Fair in Warwickshire to present the Distinguished Service Awards, established in honour of her late father Prince Philip, Basque's last royal patron. Now Her Royal Highness has accepted the invitation to become Basque's new patron. Basque, the Countryside Alliance and other field sports groups are concerned that the war in Ukraine is causing a shortage of ammunition. Ollie Hill, Managing Director of Sybarite Sporting, which operates deer stalking trips in the Cairngorms, says there is a waiting list time of 6 to 12 months for manufacturers to supply copper bullets due to the Ukraine conflict. The Health and Safety Executive is calling for a ban on the use of all types of lead ammunition for live quarry shooting in Scotland, England and Wales. The Countryside Alliance says the war in Europe means a longer transition period is now essential.
It's also just a very important issue to be able to manage deer effectively. Now obviously if people can't get the ammunition because manufacturers have shifted away from hunting ammunition, that's a massive issue and it will put the deer cull at risk.
The Country Food Trust is launching its Winter Appeal 2022. It's aiming to raise £200,000 to provide meals to food banks across the country. The Trust creates meals that are game-based, high in protein, low in fat, and supplied in both ready-to-use pouches that don't need to be refrigerated and have a shelf life of a year, and catering packs to charities which feed a large number of people at one time. The Trust produces 3 meals: the Country Casserole, the Country Curry and the Country Bolognese. More than 8 million people are in food poverty in the UK, and the Trust aims to feed as many as possible. Trust patron Adam Henson launched this year's appeal.
Because of the cost of living crisis, the pressure on food banks has risen by around 100%, whereas unfortunately donations have reduced by around 70%. So something needs to be done, and the Country Food Trust can help. So if you can find a little bit of cash to help people who are hungry, then please donate. Go to the Country Food Trust website and you can donate from there.
The link to donate is in the description below. Prince William used his first speech as the Prince of Wales to target international wildlife crime. He addressed guests at the United Wildlife Global Summit in London. Prince William and the Royal Foundation set up the group in 2014 to protect endangered animals and the environment. In his speech to 300 delegates from the private sector and organisations which aim to promote conservation, he reaffirmed his commitment to raising awareness about the issue. And finally, vegans and vegetarians may be more prone to depression, according to a new study. A team of researchers in Brazil investigated the relationship between a meatless diet and depression. They gathered data from more than 14,000 people aged between 35 and 74 over a 6-month period. They concluded that depressive episodes are more prevalent in people who don't eat meat. Thanks to Pier Holmesmith for that story. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Buying shooting kits? Then head to Kit Finder and our team will help you find the right product at a fair price from dealers all over the UK. Kit Finder, the shooting kit comparison website.
Thank you, Meredyth. Next up, bird flu, which is rapidly spreading across the UK. News correspondent Deborah Hadfield talks to shoots and organisations.
The UK is facing its largest ever outbreak of avian influenza. DEFRA confirms more than 170 cases in less than 12 months of captive birds. The latest outbreak in Norfolk, Suffolk and parts of Essex has seen the disease at 16 poultry premises. It's a notifiable animal disease, which means you report suspected cases to your local government wildlife agency. For poultry, DEFRA has imposed a mandatory regional housing order. Pheasants are among larger wild birds hit by the disease, alongside corvids and seabirds. What does this mean for shooting?
Most shoots have been inquiring to the NGO in most regions. So the NGO I don't think we've ever been so busy taking calls and giving advice on what to do. So there's a massive desire out there from the gamekeeping sector and shoot owners to get biosecurity in place to protect themselves, if nothing else. So that's really key. I think we need to get the message out there to the guns more, that they're part of this picture, and those people need to take part and be prepared to have clean boots and turn up clean. So if you've got mud on the boots, most disinfectants will struggle to kill the virus. But if the boot's clean, the disinfectants can kill the virus fairly quickly and fairly efficiently, like 99.9%. With mud on boots or on wheel arches on your vehicles, for example, that efficiency will drop dramatically. So everybody's got to do their bit. And if you turn up on a shoot day with your shiny Range Rover, that's great. If you turn up on a shoot day with your muddy Range Rover and you're asked to clean the wheel arches and it's going to be sprayed with disinfectant, we hope you're going to accept that and you're going to say, yes, please, thank you.
I think from the point of view of our sector, the game rearing, game releasing, gamekeeping sector, I think this is possibly, our foot and mouth at this point in time, if we allow it to get out of control, which is why it's important that we take all the steps that we can to stop the spread. It's not as bad yet as something like the foot and mouth outbreak was, and I think we're a long way from that. But if we can all do our bit, we can stop it from reaching that sort of level of concern.
Not everyone in the world of shooting is so gloomy. Ollie Williams runs Cornish Sporting Agency, which lets shoots across the West Country.
We've had issues with other diseases this year. We've had it tested by vets. We had a few birds dying seemingly without explanation, and all that terrible moment of, oh crap, we've got bird flu. Vet tested, it was hexameter, which is a very common, most keepers and shoot owners will know it's a very common disease. We had it quite bad this year because we seem to get it later on than we have had it in the past. So we not when they're out, but just leaving the pens. So we couldn't get that medication into them through the water systems as we normally would. So it was more difficult to target those birds. So as a result, we've had to pull back on a couple of days, as you were saying. But yeah, avian bird flu, whilst it's serious and is a destructive disease in the avian world, I suppose it's not the only one. There are other ones. So biosecurity is always important, irrespective of what the year is doing.
9 avian influenza protection zones and 10 surveillance zones are in place across England and Wales. The National Gamekeepers Organisation says this has no effect on shooting, except to restrict exports of game bird meat from game dealers inside the AIPZs. It's not just pheasant shooters who have to take bird flu seriously.
Currently, there is no regulation, no restriction on the shooting of wild birds. And if we're talking about pigeon control, for example, for crop protection still needs to go ahead. It still needs to carry on. But likewise with deer stalkers, deer stalking, deer management still needs to continue in the countryside. We go back to the biosecurity side of it. If you're going pigeon shooting, don't turn up from being on another estate with mud around your wheel arches and drive onto a different estate. Make sure before you go your vehicle's clean, and that includes your equipment, your hide poles, your decoys, etc., etc. Really simple stuff that doesn't take long, and the same goes for deer stalkers. Clean boots, clean cars, don't bring your dog.
While the National Gamekeepers Organisation want guns banned from bringing gun dogs while bird flu is rife, others take a more even view of dogs.
Your dog should also be, in effect, clean. Okay. Now, of course, we don't dunk our dogs in disinfectant, but dogs have been flagged as a potential risk due to dirt, okay, and fomites, and DEFRA has specifically flagged them in the risk assessment that they produced at the end of August. I think that risk is incredibly low, but it's not zero again. So if you've been travelling with your dog to areas where there's effective bird flu, don't go to your local shoot for 2 or 3 days, if possible. People who are sort of working locally, thinking locally, staying locally are absolutely fine. But if you're travelling up and down the country, think about whether you need to take your dog with you if you're going to go shooting somewhere else the next day.
After 2 years of COVID and a shortage of birds, bird flu is a tough challenge for gamekeepers and farmers.
It presents game farmers with a very difficult choice as to how are they going to secure their supply lines for next year's production. That's the big difficulty facing game farmers at the moment. Whichever way they turn, the route is fraught with risk. If you overwinter birds, you've got to keep them safe and protected from bird flu all through the winter, which is no easy task and requires a lot of infrastructure and some degree of luck, dare I say. If you catch up, that is a very risky thing to do as well in the middle of an outbreak of bird flu. We also don't know yet whether or not there may be any restrictions placed on catching up. Depending on how bad this outbreak gets, we may see further restrictions of what we've seen in the past. And if you don't do either of those two things, where are the chicks going to come from, or the eggs? Do we rely on French imports? That caused us huge problems this year. So that's a very difficult question, and each game farmer is going to have to look at his own situation and decide which is the least risky option for his situation.
The main vector for bird flu, the main way the disease spreads in the UK, is from migrating birds. Bask says so far the impact of bird flu on wildfowling has been limited, but things are expected to get worse as the colder weather brings the return of migrating wildfowl.
We have a situation where birds migrate very long distances and can potentially carry the virus to and fro, and that's effectively what is happening here is that effectively the bird flu spread from wider areas, even as far as sort of Asia, through the flyways and byways of sort of Siberia in the north, drop into the UK and deposit the virus on arrival. There's a limit to what we can actually physically do about that. All we can hope for is that effectively immunity will evolve in a domestic species to the current strain, but of course that's until the next strain.
It's a bit of a lottery. Apart from if you win this lottery, you just have a normal year, and if you lose the lottery, you lose a lot of money. But money's not really the issue for most people. It's a case of you know, it's a long winter months without any shooting, which is, as far as I'm concerned, far more distressing.
Bask says shooters should keep up to date with the DEFRA website, and if shoot days are cancelled, stay in touch with shoot organisers so any disruption is minimised.
There's another challenge that's being faced by some gamekeepers, and that's a challenge of after 2 years of COVID, which made everybody had a challenging time. We've now got the largest bird flu outbreak any of us have ever seen. And there is help out there, and sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. Sometimes you need a bit more help. And I would say if you're struggling with anything, with any form of depression or use the word mental illness like an illness, but even if you just need to chat, the Gamekeepers Welfare Trust are out there.
Links for advice and help in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland are in the description below.
Thank you all who took part in that, and I'm sure it will be a topic of discussion at Fieldsports Live. For our live show of that name is coming to Leithley Village Hall in West Yorkshire on the 20th of October at 7 p.m. Fieldsports Live is our travelling stage show that tells the story of Fieldsports Channel, bringing you highs, lows and behind-the-scenes horrors, mixed in with thought-provoking chat on how we can beat the Antis at their own game. It's got video, music, big screen entertainment, interviews and a game show in 90 minutes of Fieldsports fun. It's free for members of the Fieldsports Nation. Tickets on the door for non-members are £10 each, which can be redeemed on the night against a new membership sign-up. There is a link to it below. Now let's head to the home of British shooting, Bisley, and an introduction to a test for anyone who fancies themselves a capable rifle shot. It's F-Class. Welcome to our roundup on what has been an eventful GBFCA 2022 European Championships. After 2 years without significant foreign entries due to COVID, the famous ranges at Bisley, UK, opened their doors to almost 200 F-Class competitors, 102 in FTR and 85 in F-Open, coming from 13 different countries and 4 continents. 2022 is a special year, not just for the Euros, but also for the main sponsor, Vitivari, celebrating its own 100-year anniversary. Vitivari's generous support enables the organisers to improve the competitor and trade facilities, as well as supporting the broader F-Class publicity activities of the GB F-Class Association.
The factory in Finland now turns 100 years this year, so we decided to find a good signature event where we can expose our brand and especially we want to have a, let's say, a competition where it's our type of powder is needed, where we have consistency in the powder lots that we have and a very high quality.
Victrix and March Scopes join Vitivari to provide generous winners' prizes, as well as a host of other trade supporters who team up to donate the best array of prizes available to all the competitors in the lucky dip.
We sell a leading Japanese manufacturer of optical rifle scopes, and we also, another company I'm involved with, the new distributor for Victrix rifles, who are one of the leading sponsors of this event, and so is March. We're offering scopes as prizes, and there's 2 rifles as prizes for winner in each class.
Being here with the best shooter, let's say in Europe, but also from all over the world, it's an honor and it's a pleasure, because you compete and you try to be better and better every time.
After a practice day enjoyed by many of the foreign visitors, the scorecards come out for what is planned to be 5 intense days of competition. Italy strikes gold first with day wins for Luigi Bifulco on FTR and Ambrosio Pontigia in F-Open. Wednesday highlights what will be in store for the rest of the week, with sunshine and rain making conditions variable.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and for us it's the holy grail of Bisley. If you're a golfer, you go to St Andrews. If you're a Bisley shotist, you must at least visit this place once to experience the vibe and the feeling, and that's why we'll definitely be here for the World Cup as well, to be part of a large number of people.
A big heads up to the GB F-Class crowd. Unbelievable. The hospitality Brilliant.
They carried us on their hands, and whatever we came short, they supplied in excess.
Eric Scaglia from Italy puts in some consistent shooting to top the FTR table, and former European champion from the Netherlands, Marco Bean, wins the F Open Day. Thursday is traditionally a mix of individual and team shooting. The bad weather once again forces some rearranging. Through it all, Adam McDonald from Canada hits the top spot twice, firstly as FTR day winner and then with his small band of Canadians in the minor teams event. In F Open, Marco Bean once again triumphs, and a scratch team of Brits, the Big Macs, win the team event. Thursday, the 8th of September 2022, ends with the sad news that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth had passed away. The United Kingdom's longest-serving monarch had died at the age of 96 after a reign of 70 years and 214 days. After cancelling the next day's shooting, the European F-Class community paid their respects in the best way they could to the UK NRA's patron. A 96-shot salute on Stickledown.
We will now observe 1 minute's silence. Load! Fire! Load! Fire! Load! Fire! Load! Fire! Load! Fire!
With their respects paid, the competitors changed their focus to the competition in hand, adjusted to compensate for the change in circumstances. Held over the Saturday and Sunday morning from 800 yards to 1,000 yards and sacrificing the scheduled international team competition, the weather again plays its part, this time early morning fog that just will not lift. Despite everything, by Sunday afternoon, the Euros has two new champions, Simon Gambling from Great Britain in FTR and former winner Alexander Kreutz from Germany for a second time in F Open. Just months ahead of the 2023 F-Class World Championships to be held in South Africa, Great Britain is encouraged by taking 7 of the top 8 places in FTR and 5 of the top 10 in F Open. Eric Coutinho, first-time visitor from the USA and a familiar name to the F-Class world, marks his Bisley debut with second place overall in F Open.
Yes, sir. We came from the United States to shoot this event. This is a magnificent event. I have friends that have told me that if I ever have the chance to shoot at Bisley, that I should just do it. And that's what we did this year.
And how's it gone?
It's going great. We have gotten rained on every day except for today. It's been magnificent. The range is very challenging. The pair fire format is exciting, but also very challenging because that's not what we do in the States. In the States we do string fire, which means just one person shoots, and oftentimes you can shoot real fast, or if you don't like the conditions, you can simply stop. Here, you're forced to shoot, and you have no choice. So you have to make a wind call, good or bad, you just gotta go.
It has been a week-long logistical challenge for the organisers fighting the weather and circumstances beyond their control. But the unanimous verdict from the competitors will be back in 2023. For more information about the GBFCA League Shoots and the 2023 European Championships, please visit gbfclass.com. Now, ATN has a range of night vision scopes and spotters. Jonathan Barton from ATN Europe presents his Excite 4K Pro Rifle Scope.
This one here we've got in front of us is an ATN Excite 4K Pro. With an electronic scope, you've got, rather than having a straight through vision glass at both ends, you've got a sensor at the one end and a computer screen at the other. For me, the advantage with that is all your processing power is happening in the middle. You've got night vision capabilities without any add-ons. You've got the option to sort of record footage, whether that be video or photos. You can view those back through the scope, or you can download them to your phone. One of the big features for me is the ballistic calculator. You tell it your BC, your muzzle velocity, and if you pair that with the ABL rangefinder that we've got on the front of this unit, it will then correct your reticle for you for your point of impact. It doesn't take away the human element, but what it does is it really assists you in your hunting. So this unit here has got an ABL on the front of it, auxiliary ballistic laser rangefinder. What that does is, with a simple press of a button, it will send the distance that you are aiming for wirelessly to the scope. Couple that with the ballistic calculator, and you can either adjust automatically for that distance, or you can adjust it manually.
This is a 30 cal FX impact, and I use it for rabbits and things like that. It's 110 foot-pound, so it's a bit of a beast. But because the caliber's so big, obviously it's lobbing lead, so the drop on this is quite significant. So that's why I've got an ABL unit, because it will compensate for that. So I've got an ABL here, and how it actually works is if we get on the gun and then I range something a bit further away, it will tell me that the hedge line that's over there is 153 yards, and it's now giving me a secondary aim point. So if I come back onto our gongs and range that again, it tells me that's 73 yards and the aim point has moved, and now I should be able to put them down on target. And it'll do that all day, every day. Obviously on a gun like this, you know, on an air rifle you'd expect it to be 100 yards, but this, with the ABL system and the weight of the pellets and the power, will happily go out to 250 yards, which is crazy for an air rifle. It really takes the guessing out of it.
Thanks, Jonathan. Next, from kit to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, James Marchington brings you Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. If you enjoyed our recent pigeon shooting film with Dan Thor and Rob, here's another outing of theirs from the Jack Pike channel. The lads set up their decoys on a field of beans and shoot 21 over a couple of hours. Meanwhile, Pontypool Pest Control is out on a farm dealing with some huge rats that are too big for the farm cats to handle. Geoff from South Somerset Ferreters is lucky to still have plenty of rabbits on his permission, and in this film he's out in the truck shooting them with an ATM night vision scope on his 2.2 rimfire. More rabbiting action, this time ferreting in the Dales with Cumbria-based pest controllers Rabbit Express. Great to see the dogs enjoying their work. Here's one from bushcrafting channel Primal Nomad, who won a competition for an outing with South Ayrshire stalking. Interesting to hear a bushcrafter's take on the hunting experience. Regular viewers will remember student PH Reese from Ollie Williams' visit to the Northern Cape Professional Hunting School in South Africa. In this film, Reese sets out to shoot her first buffalo. Finally, two very different films from two rifle manufacturers. First, Blaser Rifles have this lovely video of mountain hunting in the Austrian Tyrol. In contrast, this one from Viking focuses on the beauty of the rifle itself. It's a one-off Merkel named the Snow Witch, specially engraved with fairy tale scenes. Andy Norris explains how it could be yours for a mere £26,000. That's it for this week. We've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email Charlie the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain, it's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday, and this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.